What if the reason you feel stuck isn't because you're lazy or behind, but because you're trying to solve the wrong problem? I used to think my issue was not knowing what I wanted to do in my life. So I'd spend hours researching careers, taking personality tests, and asking people for advice. But after years of this cycle, I realized something that changed everything. I wasn't lacking clarity. I was lacking permission. Permission to start before I had it figured out. Permission to change my mind and to build a life that doesn't look like everyone else's. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how I found direction without the pressure. Even if you're working a job you hate, have bills to pay, or feel like you're already too late. So here's what no one tells you about those find your purpose exercises. They assume your purpose already exists, fully formed, waiting to be discovered. But that's not how it works for most people. Last year, I did the full Ikigai exercise. You know, the circles where you write what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what pays well. I spent 2 hours on it and went really deep. And when I finished, I realized I hadn't learned anything new. I already knew I liked creating content and helping people think differently. The exercise just reflected back to me what I already knew. The real problem wasn't clarity. It was that I was waiting for permission to act on what I already suspected. I feel like most of us are taught that purpose is this hidden treasure we need to discover through the right exercise or soul searching. But when we approach it that way, we get stuck in analysis paralysis. Here's the shift that actually worked for me. Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you build by paying attention to what happens when you actually do things. You don't need to know your life's mission. You just need to notice what makes you lose track of time or what problems bug you enough to want to fix them, and what you do if you knew you couldn't fail. Think of the last time you felt genuinely engaged. Not happy, not relaxed, but fully present and energized. What were you doing? That's evidence. The goal isn't to find the perfect answer, it's to collect the evidence about what lights you up. When you stop waiting for purpose to reveal itself and start building it through action, you give yourself permission to start. But you can't just quit your job and follow your passion, right? Don't. Most advice about finding purpose assumes you can blow up your life and start over. But that's not realistic for most of us. When I first wanted to try to start making videos, I didn't quit my job or buy expensive equipment. I used an old point and shoot camera that I had and made a 2-minute video on a Saturday evening. That's it. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't even good, but it gave me information. Did I enjoy the process? Was I curious to make another one? The answer to both was yes. So I made another one the next weekend. And 6 months later, I was spending more time on videos than watching them on YouTube. A year later, it became my main focus, but it started with 2 minutes on a Saturday. The biggest myth is that you need to make dramatic changes to find direction. What actually works is micro experiments, starting ridiculously small, not because small steps lead to big changes, but because small steps give you permission to begin without the pressure of being right. Your version might be spending 30 minutes on a Sunday researching something that you're curious about, taking one online course in the evening, or writing one page about an idea you have. Right now, think of one thing you've been curious about but haven't tried because it feels too big or too risky. What's the smallest possible version of that? Something you could do this weekend or in under an hour. You're not committing to a career change, you're just getting curious. And curiosity is always the first step towards clarity. Starting small feels good at first, but then you probably hit something unexpected. Some experiments feel light and energizing while others feel messy. So how do you know which signals to trust? A few months ago, I got excited about starting this new channel. I had all these ideas and I set up the new channel, but every time I sat down to write or record, I felt like I was dragging myself through the mud. I thought I was being lazy or undisciplined. Then I asked myself, what would make this feel lighter? So I shifted my thought process from talking to an audience to talking to just one person. So I started recording videos like I was sending a message to a close friend, just sharing something that had helped me for that week. And that felt light, it felt real, and now it's so much easier to just hit record. Think of something you've been avoiding or something that feels heavy and ask yourself, what would make this feel 10% lighter? Or what am I afraid might happen if I try this? Or what would this look like if it were easy? When you start paying attention to what feels light instead of heavy, you stop forcing things that aren't right and start leaning into what actually energizes you. Paying attention to energy helps you know what to pursue, but there's still one trap that keeps people stuck. Think about someone you admire professionally. Now be honest, does it kind of make you feel like crap whenever you see them on social media and see how successful that they are? I spent years thinking I needed to have a big impact to matter. I'd see other creators with millions of followers and think I was failing. But then I got an email from someone one day telling me one of my videos really helped them out. And that's when I realized impact isn't about scale, it's about depth. The biggest trap isn't not knowing what you want, it's using someone else's definition of what making it looks like. Maybe your version of success is having enough flexibility to pick your kids up from school, or solving one specific problem really well, or making enough money to travel twice a year, or building something that lasts beyond your lifetime. There's no wrong answer, but there is a wrong approach. Letting other people's definitions of success make you feel like you're not enough. Write down what success would actually look like for you. Not what you think it should look like, but what would make you genuinely feel satisfied. Then ask, what's one small step toward that thing? When you finally define success for yourself, you stop chasing other people's dreams and you start building your own. A lot of gurus will say this, but you don't need a huge network or a perfect mentor. You just need one person who gets it. For years, I felt like I was figuring out this YouTube thing completely on my own. I second-guessed every decision, wondering if I was delusional and just wasting my time. Then I hopped on a 30-minute call with someone who was figuring out YouTube as well. We didn't solve each other's problems, but we made them feel less weird. That conversation gave me permission to experiment instead of needing to have all the answers. The problem with figuring out your direction alone is you end up in your own head, overthinking every decision. At least I did anyways. And the solution isn't a massive community, it's one honest conversation. Your person might be a coworker who's also thinking about their next move, or someone in an online community who's on a similar path as you, or a friend who's good at asking questions without giving advice. It could even just be a voice memo you record to yourself once a week. The goal is not to get answers, it's to feel less alone in your quest. Think of one person who makes you feel like growth isn't a burden. Text them this week and say, I'm figuring some things out and could use someone to bounce ideas off of. Can I reach out to you every now and then? You don't need a perfect support system. You just need one place where your questions don't feel like a burden. I don't want you to overthink this like me, because overthinking can be tough. So if you'd like to know more about my simple solution to overthinking, watch this video next. Keep learning, keep growing, keep going, and I'll see you in the next video.